the best.
Here we go. You ready? We're rolling on all
yes,
levels?
Yes, we're rolling on all fronts.
Bonus Spiritable episode. It's time to debate the holidays. We're going to settle this once and for all. We're going to spiritually rank the national U.S. holidays in terms of their significance to our moral and spiritual life.
But not all of them. We're not going to do National Pumpkin Spice Day. Sorry.
That's not a great thing.
Welcome to the Spiritable Podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Luke. Basically, we started this podcast as a place to bring spirituality down to earth. For a whole myriad of reasons, talking about your faith, belief, religion, it's kind of a minefield, but we don't always think that's the best barrier to keep up. So personally, we're coming at this from a perspective of Christianity with a little bit of a twist, and you can check out episode 9 for more on that.
What we'd like to do is bring on guests with a whole variety of different spiritual backgrounds to help challenge our own beliefs, and hopefully to learn something together about how to be useful people. So thanks for joining us on Spiritable.
Apparently November 19th was National Men's Day, which was like...
Should we clarify that we're doing that?
Isn't that every day? Patriarchy.
Smash. Is Hanukkah a national holiday?
No. I don't think it is recognized as a national.
Ooh. We're going to talk the obvious holidays.
We're talking the big ones, okay? We're talking Memorial Day.
White Christian. We're talking about the WASP holidays, okay?
What is that?
That's fair.
White Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Ooh, the WASP. Baby, here we go.
Wait, should we make a list?
I have a list.
the ones that I'll try and write them down.
Wait, did you check it twice?
Okay, you got a list. Never
I have
mind.
a list.
Did you check it twice?
I did. I checked it once.
Do you get it?
Which holidays are
Santa.
naughty?
I ignored a couple randos.
I don't think you got my joke.
Which holidays are
appreciate
naughty?
it.
Sorry, what did you say?
I asked if you were checking your list twice. It's Santa Claus, you idiot.
That's a Christmas plug. That's bias.
Yeah, it's biased. Get out of here. You can't rank the holidays.
I don't
You clearly
even
like Christmas
think-
better.
No, I'm pretty sure that I was arguing Easter.
We'll get into it.
Hey, here, let me just name the holidays that we're going to
arguing
be
about what we're
debating, okay? Because we're gonna go 1 through 1, 2, whatever, 12 or whatever they are. We have Halloween, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, New Year's, Independence Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, President's Day, Columbus Day, and Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Okay, we have a couple, obviously,
That feels
like
like
more
too
celebrated. Well, we can just throw them lower on the list.
Okay.
Or
bottom of the list, Columbus Day.
That's
That's
the obvious
easy.
Garbo one.
Hey, Columbus! Get out of here. You're a bad person.
I do have 12.
I mean,
So
first
Columbus,
of
I'm
all,
gonna put as
Columbus
12.
never actually even set foot on United States soil, right? The continent, the country of the United States. He was in the islands. He was in Jamaica. He was in Canada. It was never. So it just doesn't even make sense.
Also, I hate that the word Indian for Native American people still even exists because it was just Columbus being an idiot, and it is hyper confusing.
Yeah.
I hate when I talk about Indian people. Do they mean people are like, do you mean American Indian? I'm like, no, I mean from India, the country India.
As it should be.
India, it's a country.
Columbus,
So if
garbage.
Columbus, he's a garbage
He's
man.
the worst.
He's the worst. So he's.
I mean, the
number
holiday
12.
is obviously the bottom.
Also, what
the
do you
least
do on
important.
Columbus Day?
Nothing.
Not have
It's just
school?
a reason
Shouldn't
to
it be
day
like
off.
Amerigo
Yeah, it's a reason to
Vespucci
have
Day?
Yeah.
If we call it America, it's not like, we have
Yeah,
Columbia.
that's
They
true.
can celebrate him
I
there.
do feel like you're saying it's the worst holiday for all the reasons except for the whole genocide thing, which feels a little...
Well, he's a trash person because he was racist and committed genocide and was just a horrible human
Yes,
being.
it's just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only one you didn't list, and I feel like it's the worst one.
Yeah, he's a genocide.
I felt like that was implied, which is why I
Yeah.
didn't list it. But fair.
So I
Fair
don't want to
criticism.
celebrate a man, who committed genocide. So we're gonna rank Columbus as a number 12. Solid. Can't debate that.
The worst holiday.
So how do we want to deal with like Labor Day, Memorial Day? I feel like those could be a 10 and 11 for me because like I really don't do much on them. I'm gonna put like veterans above that and Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Memorial
above that.
Day?
Well, so what's difficult for me is that we have spiritual holidays, right? Like, I'm going to say things like Christmas and Easter are more
The
important.
top two.
Right? Because it's celebrating really important things that happen
July
in
4th.
the spiritual world. Like, it's good. But when you talk about Memorial Day, Veterans Day, you're talking about people who are, in service to the country.
Right.
So that, spiritually speaking, is a lower level. But something like Memorial Day, you're honoring people who have died. Mm-hmm. So that's very
Same with
important.
veterans.
But spiritually speaking, Easter is celebrating the person who died, right? So more important.
But then you have
person who
Independence Day, which celebrates a
died
whole
in
host of people who did die for our freedom and also just the birth of all these new ideas and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like it sort of encapsulates the Memorial Day, Veterans Day.
So can we agree that Christmas and Easter are the top two?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can. At least in our waspiness.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I enjoy Thanksgiving as a holiday more, but I think Easter and Christmas are more important.
You enjoy Thanksgiving more than Christmas?
Well, I enjoy Thanksgiving more than Easter.
Yeah.
Well, that's just because we do a
eat
garbage job at celebrating Easter.
Yeah,
we should have a doper Easter celebration.
Okay, so do we want to bother ranking these other holidays?
That was not your
Or do we want to just full on go into the Christmas Easter debate? I think we could have Christmas Easter Christmas Easter top 2, then Halloween Thanksgiving 3 4. So
Thanksgiving's above Halloween.
I'm also going to agree with that.
We could just go with like the top. What are the top?
But also Thanksgiving celebrates Columbus a little bit.
New Year's.
I don't think it does.
This is what I want to do. I want to do New Year's, Valentine's Day.
Oh, I forgot about Valentine's Day.
4th of July. Did I miss anything between February, March, April, May? I mean, you have stuff like Memorial Day, but I feel like those aren't the ones people think about the most.
Honestly, I feel like I might throw some shade at Halloween right now.
Do it.
Because I think that there's good ways to celebrate Halloween. Like, it's fun to wear a costume and hang out with your friends. But I think that Halloween also promotes the horror genre, which I think is a steaming pile of garbage.
Pile of garbage artistically or spiritually?
Both. It's interesting that any
I don't
horror
think anyone
movie
really takes it that seriously.
Any horror movie that is a good enough movie, people no longer categorize as horror. Like Silence of the Lambs, they're like, well, it's more thriller. Because it's just a good enough movie. Because the horror genre is a steaming pile of garbage.
Yeah, I think slasher films do little for me artistically.
And they're not what Halloween does. Right? Like, you don't watch Silence of the Lambs on Halloween. You don't watch A Quiet Place on Halloween. But those are good movies.
I also will say, unpopular opinion coming out here, I think that choosing to be afraid by media is unhealthy.
What do you mean being afraid by media?
Like opening yourself up to fear. Because I think that most horror movies, that fear that you feel is the introduction of hellish influence into your life. And I don't think it is hugely important spiritually. I don't think anyone's going to hell for watching a horror movie. No. But I do think that it's like
linking yourself with some
opening yourself up to not great influences. Yeah. If there were good spirits and influences around you, you wouldn't feel scared. You'd feel safe and secure and at peace.
On the flip side of that, I think like that's especially prevalent if you're just like watching a horror movie by yourself. But if you're like with a group of people and you're like, okay, we're in this together, like we're gonna bond through this, we're gonna be stronger, we're watching something scary, we got this.
Yeah, I think there can be use in that, and I have done that, but I just generally feel like the horror genre overall is just like, let's try to scare people, and I'm like, that's not a useful endeavor.
Yeah, but why though? What if we were just happy instead?
Yeah.
And there's an adrenaline rush you can get from watching something scary. But
when horror is actually genuinely horrific, when it's graphic and ugly and awful,
scarred.
That's bad. When you're talking about like Rear Window, suspense, thriller, stuff like that, beautiful.
Yeah, stuff that has artistic importance apart from just let's try to scare people.
Yeah, if I'm just watching someone's guts spill out, I don't need that in my life. And I don't think anyone really should want that in their life.
Right.
It doesn't promote good things.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. So there are garbage aspects of Halloween, but I think
I would put 4th of July above Halloween.
Yeah,
throw it out there.
Well, it's more important, and
it's celebrating something that actually matters.
Yeah, freedom is important.
Okay, I agree. Can we talk about New Year's though? Does New Year's matter at all? Because I just don't really think it does.
I think it's just a reason to.
It's
have
just like calendar. There's a new calendar.
Yeah.
I think people have tried to stick importance into it, but it's obviously like.
I also think it could promote laziness because people can be like, oh, well, that's an issue. I'm doing a 2020 resolution right there. That's next year's problem.
Although the idea of resolution, people make fun of it, but like people are unrealistic, and that's the unfortunate thing. But true Christian religion, TCR, one of the teachings in the church that I ascribe to is that it is a really important thing to about once or twice a year take a deep dive and say, what do I need to improve about my life?
For sure.
And so if people can be like, I'm gonna go to the gym, and the people who are regular gym goers hate January and February because they're crowded with a bunch of people who end up quitting and not coming back ever. But I think it's a really good idea if you do it well. What? It's a new calendar year. I'm okay with a reset button. Let's take a fresh start because it is a new year. I'm going to be a better person this year than I was last year.
Yeah.
But I think that's assuming people are doing it well. But as the holiday actually stands, I feel like it's kind of garbo.
Mm-hmm. I like champagne.
Yeah.
It's
But
always
the
just such
fireworks
a
are fun.
letdown.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, it's 11:59. Oh, I guess it's 12:01. Good night, I guess.
Well, so the biggest
Okay, ball
problem that
drops.
people run into
Cool.
with New Year's parties is thinking it ends at midnight. That's when the party should start. And that's an easy thing for a younger person to say that doesn't like have kids or
Right.
like
My parents used to legitimately
Obligations.
turn back all the clocks in the house. So we'd be like, it's midnight. And it was like 9 p.m.
That's hilarious.
And then they'd put us to bed. It was like-
amazing.
Wow.
People are often like, yeah, Happy New Year! And they're like, all right, seems pretty late.
Yeah.
But it should be like, we're waiting to start the party. Boom, it's the new year.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate. And then
For
you get like a
TLDR,
good hour.
New Year's is actually pretty not great. It's
New Year's?
definitely it's close to the bottom of like my favorite holiday
Yeah.
and in terms of usefulness. It's like, oh, an arbitrary calendar.
I think
blah,
Martin
blah,
Luther King
blah.
Jr. Day is better than New Year's.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many people
More
going around
important.
doing public service and like
Yep.
celebrating that.
And just remembering, important things that
Yeah.
happened in our history.
For sure.
And
100%.
that we need to work on still.
So are we putting New Year's right above Columbus Day right now?
I think I can throw like Labor Day under New Year's. I don't even know what Labor Day is.
It's
Showing
a
your
day
ignorance.
to celebrate those who
Labor.
the working
the
class
workforce.
Yeah, I don't know.
Celebrate
I
the
just don't know.
workforce.
I feel like it's kind of like a union holiday sort of situation. Like,
Mhm.
hey, everybody works hard. Let's
Let's
that.
celebrate that.
But I think in practice it means basically nothing.
It means nothing.
No
It's
one's
the same-
like,
it's the same
I'm going to take the
Memorial
day to really appreciate
Well-
all the hard work that I do and
Yeah.
all the hard work that everyone. No, there's like sweet day off.
So Memorial Day, bringing that up, that's a good point because for a lot of people, Memorial Day is kind of like the start of in the northern hemisphere. Memorial Day is usually it's officially going to be summer season, and we're going to start grilling, and we're going to start doing this and that, and lawn
There's some
games.
good Memorial Day like events. and parties and stuff.
But in terms of to a lot of people, it's actually remembering a loved one that they lost, right? So that one is a very important one to a lot of people. So if
I
if
still think
it's,
that's the most like popular interpretation of Memorial Day.
well, to
I think
anyone
most
who has
people just
lost
see it
someone in
like-
the military, I think that is the interpretation.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Memorial
Yeah.
Day is just better Veterans Day because Veterans Day is trying to do like the
Everyone.
military appreciation thing, but everybody does both on both days, and Memorial Day is just the one people like more.
Yeah.
So-
But
Yeah.
it's an interesting reason as to like why though.
It's very frustrating being off mic for this one because I have a lot of thoughts.
No, get over here.
I'll squeeze it.
Yeah.
You can be
But-
off screen, but closer to the mic.
Yeah, so people. Memorial Day is very important to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just if it's not important,
Let me refocus
You
the
do
camera for Ben.
Let's see. I'm
How you doing there?
gonna.
You're
I
solid.
do want to be feeling like I'm less included a little because I feel like that plays. Can I be half on screen?
So let's
but if we just let's focus on like the big ones, right? I'm sure
Well,
there's like
let's-
4 or
let's-
5 that are.
let's get
the big
Thanksgiving.
ones.
Where do we want to rank Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving's going to be beneath Easter and Christmas.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, I might put Thanksgiving third.
Yeah, I want it
Yeah.
number 3.
But
Wait, what else would even be competing for third?
I do
4th
think
of July, a lot of people love it.
4th of July is pretty dope. I feel like Thanksgiving's better.
But I just want to get Thanksgiving out of the way because I do feel like people have a sort of a fantastic idea of what Thanksgiving is, of like this like happy reunion between the settlers and the Native Americans.
I think the lore around Thanksgiving is real weird.
Yeah.
There's like this, like kids in elementary school will do like a little pageant where some people play Native Americans and some people play Pilgrims and then they're friends. And like it's a nice narrative. It tells a good story, but it's just not accurate history. And that's a weird vibe.
But I do feel
in
like-
practice, who even thinks about that during Thanksgiving? You show up,
Right.
you have a
At
good
least
dinner with your family, and at least for me, it's always like a nice time.
And it's really just a North American holiday. It's the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else does. Like,
Oh,
Is
The
it
speaking
Canada
of
have
which,
different Thanksgiving than
Thanks-
Hold on,
Thanksgiving-
can I quick say about the little pageants? Saw this garbage photo at Party City. quick call out Party City.
no. Anyway.
Yeah,
But-
no good.
Thanksgiving is also important to be a safeguard against Christmas's continual creep into the earlier parts of the year.
It happens anyway,
In
but-
South Africa, the moment it's November, Christmas is on.
I played
which
music November 1st.
which
Maybe it's Christmas time.
I'm kind of on board with, except when Thanksgiving is there, because now I feel like I need to have my fall Thanksgiving time.
Thanksgiving happens in the day prior to Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving. Around that is Christmas. Thanksgiving
so
gets
really,
3 days.
The Canadians have it right. You have Thanksgiving earlier. You have it in October. Boom. You can just forget about Halloween because it's stupid. And then you have your Thanksgiving in October, late October. Let's just ditch Halloween. And then
I think Halloween just needs a reface. Like,
Halloween needs
because it could be like a cool celebration of the dead.
Halloween is you guys. I think it's mostly about like spending when you're a kid. It's about like going and having fun time with friends, getting out, getting dressed up. We could refocus maybe the like get candy thing in some way, where maybe like you also brought around a bag of candy and you like gave it to other trick or treaters as you bumped into each other.
So
something like
in
that
our little
feels really rad.
In our little town, there's trick or charity, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, let's use this as an opportunity to collect things to give to charity. That's a really solid idea. Like, cool, you have candy. I know you have canned food in there too. Give it to us.
I also think just as a community, Halloween can be really healthy because it's like everyone's walking around, meeting each other. Now you know that neighbor from two doors down and their cute little kids in their Spider-Man outfits. So it can be a really good community building event.
For sure.
I think that, so that's why I think it just needs a reskinning because a lot of the celebration, costume dress up, very fun. Community building by going door to door, very fun.
What about the consumerism
Parties with friends, very fun. Every holiday has consumerism. I'm not that worried about it as long as it has a deeper thing with it.
What's consumerism about Thanksgiving besides buying food?
What? You buy a ton of food and overgorge yourself. It's like gluttony focused.
Supermarkets say if you buy $200,
you literally are consuming.
Yeah, that's not. I wouldn't say that's like the normal description of consumerism. Yeah. Consumerism is buying like goods and material items, not like food.
Fair. I did hear a really interesting little tidbit, though, that apparently every hospital explodes Thanksgiving Day because so many people eat so much that they think they're dying and they show up at the hospital.
It's one of the busiest.
And they go, "You idiot! You ate too much. Go home."
I used to do a lot of work for the Philadelphia Fire Department, and apparently it might be the biggest day for fires. Like, firefighters are very busy.
Everyone's trying to deep fry their turkeys.
Deep fried turkeys. Guys, stop. I don't care if you're doing it outside. I don't care if you are a firefighter. Don't deep fry your turkeys. You'll probably hurt yourself. Just don't. You're like, oh no, I won't hurt myself. It doesn't matter. Not worth the risk. Just cook it in the oven like a normal person.
Just plop it in your bathtub.
My dad's made a really good deep fried turkey though.
Okay, well, Mr. Keys, stop. Okay?
Mr. Keys, it's time to stop.
Just don't deep fry your turkey.
Okay, but
so Thanksgiving now is more. It's more than like the pageantry. It's more than like this like weird fantasy, but it's more just like having a time for family and to think about what you're thankful for.
Yeah,
exactly. We've made it religious.
Number 3. I'm comfortable putting it.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's definitely
I would
number 3.
put Halloween number 4.
I would.
In terms of fun or importance?
Importance.
I think, but I think
MLK Day. Okay. Do you like dressing up or
celebrating
equality?
A civil rights movement?
But like
service.
But then should MLK Day be at the top?
Do you like your spooky costume more than civil rights, Ben?
But then
say it. Say you like your spooky costume more than civil rights.
I like it more than civil rights.
I knew it.
Ben just wants attention. That's why he's sitting here.
Hello.
You can like Halloween, but it's not that important.
But okay, if we look at the facts of Thanksgiving, does that really rank higher than MLK Day or Memorial Day?
If you have Thanksgiving, so religion's sort of taken it over, and Thanksgiving to me is a day to be grateful for my family and for the Lord, right? Thanksgiving is let's have a day that's specifically thankfulness to the Lord, which is
that can encapsulate a lot of things. Like you can be thankful for growing equality in the world. You can be so it's a time to reflect on whatever you're excited.
I just think we might be a little bit skewed about Thanksgiving because of how prevalent it is.
Yeah. That's fair, but I think its prevalence has given it more spiritual impact as well. And I think, again, like Ben said earlier, the moment that a holiday has spiritual significance, it pops above. And that's not to say MLK Day doesn't have spiritual significance. The spiritual significance of equality is huge.
Equality, freedom.
But I think as a holiday and its impact, I think that Thanksgiving has more of a broader impact on the United States than MLK Day does.
So we're on
a
Halloween
yearly celebration.
4, Thanksgiving 3. Now let's figure out Christmas and Easter.
Wait, so is MLK Day 5 or 4 though? I think that was sort of up for debate.
I'm comfortable throwing that at 5. It's definitely above Independence Day. I mean, New Year's.
About
4th of July is pretty baller. But for the good that it does for the world, I think MLK Day is
kind of nothing. It just
above.
Is we show
so like
up
time
and
to grill.
Well, but I don't know.
And like, I mean, there's a lot of like values and ideals it stands for, and a lot of, even the death that went that happened during the Revolutionary War and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and also like again, community bonding.
I feel like can get skewed
really
into
important.
like a kind of patriotism that I don't always think is useful. That's like which
There's-
is great.
Oh well, you can move out of the country then, Ben.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
Take your
I agree,
spoopy
though.
holidays and get out of here.
Being overly patriotic is pretty gross to me. Like, you shouldn't be overly patriotic. You
nationalistic.
should be the right amount of patriotic.
I feel like patriotism is found in like I want to make my country as good as it
MLK
can
Junior
be,
Day is
and
patriotic.
that can be infinitely
Yeah.
That
good,
is a
and I'm excited
patriotic
about
holiday.
it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like loving the neighbor, right? You should love the good things about your country and also use it as a way to reflect on how can we make this country even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're
But
just
that's
like
never
no
part of the
faults,
conversation.
love America.
Yeah.
So we're gonna rank MLK above Independence Day.
I would.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing that Independence Day has for me is that my small town happens to have like a picnic where I get to see a bunch of people, but not every community even has that.
Right.
And the only thing that feels universal about the 4th of July is just fireworks and like, yeah, fireworks are cool. But like, you also get fireworks.
Let's call ourselves out right now. When's the last time you actually volunteered on MLK Day?
2 years ago.
In high school.
Yeah,
Because
probably.
me, that could be a number of years ago. I have done it, but it's not every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we gotta do
Usually
better.
it's a nice day that I get off and then I feel bad about it.
You don't always get it off, though. Sometimes you don't. Like,
Yeah.
in college.
Depends on where you work.
Yeah. But so I feel like we have two different conversations. There's holidays you like and holidays that we think are actually the most important morally.
I'm gonna
Let's-
let's.
It's pretty
I'm-
similar though.
I think
It's like-
spiritually, I'm gonna put MLK Day above Independence Day.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna slide that into a number 5
Okay,
slot.
but let's get to it.
Christmas
or Easter.
Let's initially where we stand, and then we'll see where we rank
Christmas
it.
better for sure.
Christmas, raise your hand.
Oh, see, are we talking spiritually? Because if we're talking spiritually, I am comfortable saying that Easter is the most important holiday.
Yeah.
By far. Hands
Easter is
down.
the most important. Christmas is way more fun, but again, that's the external
I think
stuff.
people
It
get
does-
more spiritually out of Christmas than they do Easter.
So,
I think
yeah. So
Easter has more spiritual significance and importance, like historically, biblically.
So the event that we celebrate Easter because of, I think, is more important than the event we celebrate Christmas because of. But I would agree that as a
I'm
holiday,
just gonna say,
Christmas
if Jesus
is more
wasn't
useful.
ever born, he couldn't have ever risen. You know what I'm gonna say?
Yeah,
So-
but like that's like saying I need to go to work. So the most important thing I did today was get dressed.
Yeah.
Well, it's
You
I
can't
know,
go to work
let's
in your underwear,
celebrate-
but the point is to go to work.
So are you saying we should celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday instead of the successes he did in bringing about the civil rights movement?
I mean, we would in effect do the same thing, regardless of the day it was celebrated.
Right, but yeah, the point is like the purpose of something is more important than the effects that brought about the purpose, right?
But I think the advent of Jesus Christ coming into this world had tons of significance and impact, rather than just like, oh, he was born.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I totally
The fact
agree.
that he was
He was
born.
born
I
for
mean,
a
I think on
purpose.
both holidays, we basically equally reflect on his life and deeds. It is not like every Christmas we're like, Jesus, he once was a babe, and that is as far as I will go.
Yeah,
And
but Easter. So that's why I'm trying to separate the event from which the holiday comes and the holiday itself. The event, I think, the culmination of what Jesus was trying to do is more important than the beginning of the process.
But I think we are ranking the holidays. We're not ranking
Yeah.
the Bible. We're
So
not ranking biblical events.
So stepping back from that, I think that people do get more spiritually out of Christmas than they do out of Easter.
Yeah, and I think that the fact that it was a dark time spiritually for the world, and then this light was brought into it. That's a huge emotional explosion.
And it like has representation in the world, like at least where we are geographically, because during Christmas it's very dark outside very early and it's cozy and there's light in that darkness. And like for me, honestly, like it's a very external thing, but at Easter it's like my least favorite time of the year when like this is awkward like transition to springtime and it's like still kind of gross out, but like I guess it's nice, but I don't know if it's really summer yet, and I just feel very misplaced temperature-wise.
The,
I don't know, it hits me in a weird
specifics
way.
of its celebration. Just Christmas like embraces like it's time for family, it's time for friends, it's time for giving,
Generosity.
it's time for generosity and like love between the people that you're close to. And Easter, I guess people usually also get together and have dinner or something, but
There's that
like
weird
but
Easter
like what,
bunny
there's
thing
no like
that should just go
the
away.
Easter bunny thing always
Dying
felt really
eggs.
weird when I was a kid. It was always like, yes, I'm gonna get one video game, in my basket and it's gonna be lit. I got Pokemon Sapphire version when I was like 8, and it defined my whole childhood. So that's big. But
Yeah, Christmas is like,
that,
oh, remember the
like
wise men
stuff.
who brought gifts to the baby Jesus? Let's emulate giving gifts. Isn't that wonderful? Easter's like, the Lord was risen again so that we could be redeemed. Let's dye eggs and have this weird rabbit. Like, stop. Let's.
I also
how
think
can we
people try to
bring
back up the eggs thing by being like, no, it's about like
new birth?
rebirth, and so he came back, and so it's birthy.
I guess I could think about that.
It feels
It
a
could be
little
helpful.
weird.
So I think people are a little bit disappointed by Easter because there's an expectation of the emotional significance that they had from Christmas because it's a significant biblical event. So they're like, oh, well, Christmas, has such an emotional impact and feeling about it. And then everyone's like, oh, wait, well, Easter should have this too, but it doesn't.
It's kind of funny because
But
that's
it's
what
because
happens
of
in
the
the
way
Bible,
that we celebrate it.
right?
I think the ritual, the importance of ritual, is when something deeper is inside it, the ritual houses that. And so Christmas, we have a lot of deep spiritual connection that's housed in a lot of fun ritual. And side note, if you count consumerism against a holiday, it's hard to put Christmas at the top.
But
Yeah.
it's consumerism for generosity's sake.
I feel like the consumerism is also like a
At
side
the
effect.
best level.
Yeah.
Like you could really have the consumer, or you could have Christmas without the consumerism and still have it be about giving. It doesn't need to be like, I need to buy it like from these companies and this and that. You could be like, I made you something, or I care about it. Like that isn't what it is. So maybe I'm
But
just
in effect, it does,
empty
like-
space.
But
Anyway.
I think that if we celebrated Easter with as many exciting, deeply cherished rituals, it would have that significance.
So then, what are the
So we gotta change
cherished
up Easter.
rituals that Easter needs? What do we add?
So we need to rephase Easter just like we do with Halloween. I think Easter needs a
Yeah.
more nighttime ritual. I think it could use a nighttime into daytime ritual, like on Good Friday having more of a nighttime celebration, or like remembrance, like candlelight vigil sort of deal, and then Easter morning being more like party hype time.
What if on
Maybe-
Easter
what
we
we did was
started
like
at
that.
like 4 a.m. when it was dark, and then like celebrated it into the sunrise? Wouldn't that be sweet? It'd be like really tricky to do and like really miserable waking up early, but like wouldn't that be beautiful?
It
Like
could
the
also
sun
be like a
rising.
whole 3 days holiday. You could go for Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're doing all different phases of
Yeah, and
Jesus' resurrection.
Good Friday into
Easter
Easter
Sunday.
and have it
Like,
actually be a huge
What would
thing.
Saturday be?
Like a crucifixion, tomb is empty, Lord is risen.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Type of
tomb is empty,
transition.
day of fasting.
Ooh, I mean,
Why not?
Yeah.
Day of fasting, day of like self-reflection, like doing a spiritual deep dive. Like that could be like a heavy hitter day.
I do think that a lot of the success of the ritual is like its accessibility and it's fun. And do people be like, cool, let's combine spiritual deep dive and not eat?
I mean, a lot of people do Lent.
Yeah.
Ramadan.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair. Ramadan is interesting in that it also is like sort of a party. Like you.
Well,
fast
that's why
forward
I'm
it,
looking
yeah.
forward to Sunday party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
if
love
it
that.
was like a day of
just start doing
fasting,
it.
You guys
food
trying to
at
do it?
night type of
Let's
situation.
change Easter.
You guys trying to do that this Easter?
I would
do
would
it.
make up some cool Easter traditions and try
And let's
and
be honest,
execute this year. I would
If
have a bunch
society
of fun doing
started to
that.
value that like they do Christmas, then it would be a huge, big event. The thing that I don't like about Christmas is that now it's not about, oh, that was so wonderful that I got to give gifts, and oh, look, it's nice that I received. It's this massive expectation of a bunch of spoiled kids. That's typically what it is, at least in America. And I think in a lot of places. And it's
I think
it's
once
just
you become
like-
an adult. But see, here's the thing. As an adult, I feel like it isn't that for me anymore, but it still has a lot of that real importance.
Yeah.
And I think that excitement as a child grew into the excitement of generosity as an adult, even though I know that it wasn't there when I was a kid.
Ooh.
So I wonder if expecting children to be anything but excited for what they receive is expecting too much of them. And emulating generosity is a way to lay a foundation for their excitement about generosity as adults.
I think there's a really good way to blend both things. Sorry,
Yeah,
you
no,
seem
go
more
for it,
excited.
go for it.
Okay, like when you're a child, well, my parents tried to do this, and I think you could even go farther with it. As soon as I was like old enough to like earn any amount of my own money, it was like expected that I bought Christmas presents for people, and they would like be like, here are a bunch of chores you can do. This one will be worth $5. This one will be worth $10. You can do them all these days. And then we would like go out and go to a place, and I'd like buy toys for my brothers, and it was a great old time. And even if like a kid's like 6 years old and you'd be like, cool, you have $10, get your dad something he's gonna really like, then like that's a sweet thing to do if they get to choose it, even if they don't like have to earn the stuff that provides for it. I think there's a good way to lay that groundwork early that people should put more value in, because it's cool when I was little.
Yeah, and you want to enforce that in kids. That's all I was going to say.
What our parents did when we were growing up is they would buy a bunch of gifts for each individual child and then take one of us aside and be like, hey, here are a bunch of gifts that you could give to Ben. Pick one. Which one would you feel most excited to give to Ben? And I would pick one, and like my parents paid for all of them. My parents bought all of them. I had like 4 to choose from, but it still gave me some ownership of me giving something to him. And I think that was brilliant. Good job, Mom and Dad. Because it instilled in me the excitement of giving to another person. And I really was, even at like 5, when someone opened a gift that I had given them, even though I had no real like choice in, like no of my own identity in choosing that gift for them, other than picking between 4 options.
So side comment that I have to bring up. When you guys have kids, are you going to lie to them and tell them that there's a Santa Claus?
Ooh, way to prime that.
I've gone all over the place on this one. Probably like 3 years ago, maybe a little longer. I was like real on board with like, yes, you have got to do Santa. It is criminal to not. It is an introduction to your sense of wonder at the world. And I don't know if I'm on board with that. Maybe it's kind of dumb.
I think 100%. I 100% will do Santa for a few reasons.
Yeah.
First of all, because I think that it is enough of a cultural thing among children that it does more detriment to their social environment to remove Santa from their lives than it may benefit them to not have that.
Yeah,
that's more like the punishment they experience for being that kid that's like, well, I don't believe Santa's real, and all of the shame from other children's parents, like all of that could go wrong for them socially is not worth it.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was sort of like, Dad, does Santa exist? And he was like, well, what do you think? And I was like, I don't think he does. And he was like, you're right, but it's more about generosity, and he stands for something, even if he isn't a real person. And I was kind of like, oh, and I was kind of bummed out about it, but I moved on very quickly.
What about the weird juxtaposition with you have Santa Claus and you have Jesus? And as a kid, you're like, okay, Santa Claus and Christmas. Oh, and there's also the Lord, I guess. And you're learning about these things, and both of them you can't see. And then, as adults, you go through the phase where it's like, oh, or like as a kid, you go through, well, my friend doesn't believe in Santa Claus. Then as an adult, you go through, my friends don't believe in the Lord. And it's sort of this weird thing where it almost primes you for, your parents told you Santa Claus existed, and then, nope, he doesn't. You never saw him, and you realize that's a dumb thing to believe. And then your parents told you the Lord existed, and you say, wait a second, I don't know. I don't believe in the Lord. And it's sort of like this weird, why would you set kids up, like if you're trying to instill faith in the Lord in them in a healthy manner, why would you set up this side character who you're basically going to have next to Jesus, and they probably can't even really distinguish them as a 5-year-old?
I felt like for me that was never an experience I went through.
Yeah.
So I don't know how realistic that is, or if you've set up like a false juxtaposition that kids don't really like hit.
Yeah.
I have had things where people are like, why do we celebrate, like, who's the most important person around Christmas? And people are like, Santa. And that's kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
But
I think that's true. I think that is a false, I think it's
and maybe there are kids that have experienced that, but I don't think it's a universal thing.
Yeah.
The main reason that I want to, or the other main reason why I want to continue to support the culture of Santa Claus is because I think with how consumerist Christmas has become, Santa is a wonderful buffer against mistreatment of the word. Like, do you want it to be like, Santa brought you that new Kia you wanted? Or do you want it to be like, the 3 wise men showed up and they left you a Kia gold color, myrrh color, and frank... Like,
you think that would happen?
100%. They use whatever model of the holiday they can to promote their goods. Mm-hmm. And right now, there is a consumerist model that promotes consumerism.
Yeah, true.
And do you see any like imagery in Easter of like, Jesus wants to sell you some eggs?
Well, no, because the Easter Bunny. But if the Easter Bunny was gone...
And also, as established, Easter is garbage, and we don't really give it.
Well, or not even the wise, but it was just Jesus. If it was like,
Jesus
would want your kids to have this...
I
It'd be
think
super
the
awesome.
U.S. is
I mean,
still
marketing
too
smarter than
religious
that.
as a whole that there would be so much marketing pushback
No,
for using biblical imagery to sell things.
I've seen biblical imagery in commercials. Like, it already exists.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
super common. You see people like singing Silent Night. You see people singing religious carols.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
a little
often-
different.
Religious
You see
carols are
people-
sort of mixed in with Christmas carols in general, though.
Yeah, but you also I've seen religious commercials with like people like bringing things forward to Christ.
Yeah.
Like,
Or how about
I've
the most
seen-
common one is the Hallelujah chorus, right?
I
The
just don't think that's like
chorus.
appropriation or anything. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, the Hallelujah chorus, that's straight scriptural, right? The word Hallelujah, and it's been taken over to just be like, whatever. And a lot of people find that pretty sacrilegious when people just are singing Hallelujah, because it was.
yeah, I just think that's
I
a significant step away from
Yeah,
Jesus trying to sell you a car.
I see a vast divide between
Yeah.
the like character
That's fair.
imagery of people in the Bible and
Oh.
like reference of like his, because the hymns not only like are religious, but they also like represent like a historical cultural connection point around the holiday.
Yeah.
Here's one. I remember a
I'm with
commercial.
you on that, Ben.
Commercial shows a bunch of shepherds out in the field, and suddenly there's a big light, and they all look up, and it's a big blinding light. And as it becomes more clear, I forget what product it was for, but it was like an advertisement for some car. And that was legitimately a commercial I saw.
I just don't think that's as prevalent as you're making it out to be.
But exactly, I think that's because Santa is such a good scapegoat. My theory is that so much it's, ho, 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 Santa brought you those keys for the Kia outside. And that he stands as an intermediary to protect against abusing images from the word. And I strongly believe that.
I don't know. There aren't enough like Christian holidays that don't have buffers for reference. So like,
Well, I think those buffers were created at a time where more people were broadly religious, and they were like, we can't use the celebration of this holiday in our marketing, so let's create something we can use. And that really, like,
do you think that was the creation of Santa?
Yeah,
I think
don't
that
know
was
enough
the
about
popularization of Santa. I mean, the story of
Saint Nicholas.
Saint Nicholas existed, but I think it grew to popularity and to Santa Claus
But that was like-
because
that was like
of a
pre-commercial.
consumerist push.
That
Well,
was
since
like
we're getting
pre-commercial
controversial,
revolution.
so how about the Starbucks cups and Happy Holidays? How do you guys feel about that?
Sure.
I don't care.
There are more holidays around
Don't-
that
Yeah,
time.
I get
Why?
annoyed. I get annoyed when people look. The whole crusade against Christmas thing, I think, isn't real. If people aren't going to buy into it and be religious, then they're not going to be anyway. So you shouldn't demonize someone for saying Happy Holidays if they're trying to be inclusive. If someone happens to be a Jew or a Muslim or
The
a
thing is,
Hindu.
I don't even think the pushback against like that is even that real. I think
Yeah.
both sides are invented arguments by a
Yeah.
media that's trying to find something to report on. Has been my like.
Yeah,
when
that's
have you
fair.
ever said Merry Christmas to somebody and had them correct you to Happy Holidays, or said Happy Holidays
Yeah.
and have them correct you to Merry Christmas? It's just
Yeah,
never
I've
happened.
probably said Merry Christmas to a Jewish person, and they probably said, "Yeah, you too," or something, because they're just a normal, nice human being.
Yeah.
You know, like no one's gonna. If someone said Happy Hanukkah to me, I wouldn't be like, "What?"
How
Back that
dare
sir.
you?
Now, there is something to be said that Christmas is like the dominant, the Christianity is the dominant religion in the United States. So it's sort of like from a position of power or whatever. But, it's one of those things that's just like, if someone, you just be a nice person back. That's, how about we remember what Christmas is for and just stop getting ready to fight all the time.
But,
and
but I think the
good.
popularization of saying Happy Holidays is a good direction to go.
Yeah. I think you should be able to say
a
both.
loving response.
Yeah. If you...
I don't think there's anything wrong in just saying Merry Christmas to people, but
Yeah.
I think trying to be more inclusive is a good idea.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we've done some good work.
Okay, I think Santa Claus is important
Yeah.
because it protects the religious aspects of Christmas.
I think that's a side benefit. I think the main benefit of Santa Claus is the atmosphere of magic and hope that it brings.
I also think it's
It
useful
allows
because
kids
people
to
who
have
are
a magical
less-
mindset, which is I think is important.
I think it's also useful for people who are feeling more ambiguous about their relation to religious concepts, being like, I am still behind this holiday and what it represents, and so they can get a lot of the religious positivity from it that they wouldn't, like, if it was just all about focusing Jesus really hard, then I'd be like, I don't know how I feel about this. Christmas. Yeah. That might be a side benefit to the other two things. But
I hear that.
Yeah.
So
and I also think with the whole Happy Holidays versus Merry Christmas thing that we were talking about, I think that Christmas has become a big enough holiday that even if you don't celebrate it religiously, it feels weird to me for people to be offended by you saying Merry Christmas, because it is like a time of year at this point in the United States that is broadly celebrated religiously and just culturally. So to say like, I hope that you're happy at this time of year where people are celebrating, doesn't feel that bad. So I agree that it's a totally fabricated argument on both sides.
So I think we can definitively say that as it stands, Christmas is the number one holiday.
Christmas.
Easter, a lot of potential, needs a significant reface.
Yeah,
and I like
Easter
our proposal.
should
yeah.
be more
Also, I
important.
am very on board with this year us making a point of inventing new
Let's make a dope
Easter
Easter.
traditions and see what sticks.
Don't you mean
We're
next
gonna-
year? Sorry, I said it.
We're going to have it on the podcast this spring. Hold us accountable.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about our Easter traditions.
Having a fast.
We're going to put it out there. You guys try celebrating it. See how it goes. What did you add? What made it cool?
Here's
Look
up.
forward to it.
So that's one. That's two. We got Halloween, or we got Thanksgiving, Halloween, blah, 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 Columbus Day. Anyway, let us know what you think about the holidays. We'd be curious to hear what you rank them as.
You sounded so unenthusiastic when you said it. Let us know how you feel. We'd be excited to
Being
hear.
calm, cool.
Let me do
chill.
the outro. What's up? I earned this.
Do it, Ben. Do it.
Hello, everybody. Actually,
All right.
goodbye. It's the end.
You
I'm
already
sorry.
goofed
No, I
it.
goofed
You
it.
already goofed it. Yeah, go sit back there.
Oh, give him a
You don't
hug.
get to be part of the outro now.
No.
I am so sorry about him.
I deserve this.
All right, thanks so much for watching our little bonus, John, here. Yeah, let us know how you feel about the holidays. What's your most important holiday and why? Is it just because you like it? Is it because you think it helps you change and be better? Is it just a cool time to get together with your paps?
Hey, mams.
Hey, moms and paps.
Mams and paps.
I love Christmas.
Bonus
Moms
content
and
on the
paps.
Spiritable podcast. Have a great day.